Jeff and I explored by canoe many of Wisconsin's rivers and lakes, as well as Minnesota's BWCA, Canada's Quetico, and Michigan's Isle Royal in aluminum, Royalex, and Kevlar canoes. But when we traveled with our friend Gordon Orr and his cherished Old Town Autka, we fell in love with wooden canoes. I suppose to be completely accurate, I should say I fell in love with wooden canoes. Then, in the 1970s, quite by accident, we made the acquaintance of three extraordinary canoe builders. Tom McKenzie, who created handsome birch bark canoes, the first I had ever seen, and partners Rick Heinzen and Tony Breeze, who built gorgeous all wood and wood fiberglass canoes. They agreed to let us document their construction processes from start to finish for articles in Wisconsin Trails. And over many months, we became good friends. So, of course, we had to buy the canoes they had built for us. I suspect you'll see them in the museum. They did beautiful work, but they were having a hard time making a living at it, and they were not alone. Many small canoe shops were struggling to stay afloat. So Jeff and I decided to start an organization dedicated to the preservation and use of wooden canoes. We hope to keep our friends in business and their skills alive. We called the organization the Wooden Canoe Heritage Association, and we ran it out of our den for several years. We sold books and canoe building supplies. With the assistance of Tom and Kieran McKenzie, we held annual assemblies at which we discovered hundreds of canoes of all shapes, ages, and styles. We started collecting manufacturers' catalogs to help us answer questions about UFOs, unidentified floating objects. But most important, we published a quarterly journal named Wooden Canoe. And through its articles, we learned a lot about both historic and contemporary canoes. And through its classified ads, free to members, we were the first to find out when fabulous canoes went on sale. I just couldn't resist. So I started buying canoes. Storage became an immediate problem. But I figured if I kept buying them, Jeff would eventually be forced to find a way to store them. It was probably in this context, in the mid-1980s, Jeff started thinking about a museum. And in preparing for this dedication, I came across what he had written. Here it is, and I quote, "I can see it now. I walk up to the handsome wooden door and pull it open. Inside is a museum space with rows of historic canoes, each lovely and well interpreted. Lighted displays show how birch bark, lapstrake, wood canvas, double cedar, and other types of canoes were built. During the tourist season, a different canoe builder every week demonstrates his craft and his unique philosophy of design and technique. Visitors see canoe building skills like nailing home planks to ribs, filling canvas, and all the other tasks that go into making a North American wooden canoe. In another room, a well-stocked library of books and manufacturers' catalogs provides researchers with the information they seek on canoeing heritage and construction. At the sales desk, the museum's publishing arm offers reprints of old books and catalogs. Even Stevenson's rare Canoe and Boat Building for Amateurs is stocked. A small theater shows regularly changing movies and slides on canoe building and tripping. And throughout the museum, energetic interpreters like Alan Craig explain major displays to visitors and answer questions from fascinated children. In back of the museum is a lovely clear lake where canoeing organizations offer instruction and visitors can try their hand at paddling Peterboroughs, Chestnuts, Old Towns, Whites, a variety of other fine canoes. I have just visited the North American Canoe Museum, he wrote, near a major highway and a major city in Maine, New York, or Wisconsin. But this fantastic museum does not exist. I have just dreamt a dream. Such a museum is a distant beacon worth pursuing and, with the right breaks and funding, perfectly attainable. Someday, I believe, it will happen. And that was the end of what he wrote in '84. Jeff and I had a dream and a lot of interesting canoes. But it wasn't until 25 years later, in the summer of 2006, when we got the right break. It happened when Sean Fisher, who knew I was looking for a canoe solution, stopped at Dahl's Home Store and saw Mort's canoes on display. Turns out Mort had the same dream we did. Sean gave Mort our number. Mort asked if we would be willing to donate our canoes if he could create a museum. Here I'm tempted to say, and the rest is history. But that's not true. There was no museum, and there was still the question of funding. Those things were absolutely crucial, and they did not just happen. You, the citizens and elected officials of Spooner, made the dream a reality. Financial support from the city, gifts in cash and kind, countless, and I do mean countless, hours of volunteer labor have gone into what we dedicate today, the Wisconsin Canoe Heritage Museum. Jeff and I are humbled and awed and absolutely delighted to be part of what you have accomplished. Now, let's go see some canoes.